Week 17 of the NFL schedule is a mixed bag. There are 4 games with double-digit spreads, and those could be rough for a few teams trying to break in the new year. There are some great matchups that could be playoff previews. Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes roll into Cincinnati to face the red-hot Bengals and Joe Burrow. Arizona will try to get back on track at Dallas, which is trying to catch Green Bay for the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Packers, meanwhile, can use the Sunday Night Football spotlight to avenge a Week 11 loss to the Vikings. The Raiders need to win at Indianapolis to keep their hopes alive. Will Lamar Jackson return for the Ravens in time to save their season against the Rams? Monday Night Football is a de facto elimination game between the Browns and Steelers. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Week 17 edition of Strictly Sports NFL Thursday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. One quick thing that needs to be addressed before we move on here, and that is I just came across a news bulletin that all home teams in Week 17 will have a moment of silence for the great John Madden, which I think is a great touch. And this show tonight is also dedicated to the memory of John Madden, who passed away this past Tuesday at the age of 85. So with that being said, let's dive on in. And good news for all of you Strictly Sports fans out there tonight. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, he'll hit you with those playoff clinching scenarios and implications. I know MF's going to be ready with that as always. So, but only for the games that have implications. You know, any zonk games with no implications or what have you, forget about it. So, this first game, however, it's got implications, big time. This game was originally scheduled for a 4:25 kickoff on Fox, but it was pushed back to 1 p.m. And it's a great matchup. We have the Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens from M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, on Fox. And I'm not sure what happened to Kevin Burkhardt here, but I'm seeing Adam Amin. Adam Amin will step in for Kevin Burkhardt, and he will work with his partners, Greg Olson and Pam Oliver. And the Rams opening up as 4.5-point favorites. However, Baltimore leads the all-time series 5-2. And the Ravens have won each of the last 4 meetings against the Rams, including their last one in Baltimore in 2015. The Ravens won that game by a score of 16-13. The Rams have never won in Baltimore. Both wins against the Ravens were in St. Louis when they were the St. Louis Rams in 1999 and 2003, respectively. So here we are. Let's start it off with the Ravens and the Rams. Trying to find it here. All right. Will Lamar Jackson return and help the Ravens avoid a potentially devastating loss? That is Baltimore's best hope. The Ravens have allowed 29 points a game through a 4-game losing streak, and the Rams are rolling in a 4-game win streak. If Jackson comes back, however, we'll say he saves the day in what could be a classic game. And trying to find it here. All right. The Rams should have seen what Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense did under former offensive coordinator Zach Taylor and follow suit for Sean McVay, because getting Matthew Stafford to aggressively throw downfield to his wide receivers is second nature. Running on the Ravens can be tough, but they are getting worn down and breaking down everywhere. The Ravens offense doesn't have much working beyond Mark Andrews at the moment, and that won't cut it in a must-win game. So I'm torn on this one. If Lamar Jackson does not play, then I have the Rams winning 27-20. But if Lamar Jackson does play, then I say the Ravens win 33-30. So if Jackson plays, Ravens win. If he doesn't play, Rams win. Simple as that. So I'll probably get back to you around game time. I'm a game time decision on this pick, if you will, but that's just how I feel about it. So not much more to say. Good old MF, come on in. Great way to start off the week 17. Normally be the final. We got that extra week now and going forward, but oh boy, Los Angeles Rams, Baltimore Ravens. What are the implications?
Well, as far as for the Baltimore Ravens go, you just got to stay and survive. If you lose this game, you're practically out of the running. There's no there. You would literally need to pull the inside straight in order to get into the playoffs. But a loss here would end your season right there and then. I just don't see a mathematical equation because you got so many teams ahead of you. Plus, I know that if one tiebreaker goes between them and the Miami Dolphins, the Dolphins beat them earlier in the season a few weeks ago. So that's a tiebreaker for the Dolphins. And then there's other teams that you gotta equate. So if you're the Ravens, you just gotta win just to stay alive. It just keeps you in the running for one more week. As for the Rams, they've already clinched the playoff spot, so they're automatically in. They will play no worse than a wild card. However, with a win and an Arizona loss, the Los Angeles Rams takes the NFC West. So very crucial game for the Rams. This is a must win because accompanied with a win there and an Arizona loss later, and we'll cover them later in the evening, that will give the Rams the NFC West, and they will capture the division, and it's guaranteed at least a home playoff game at SoFi Stadium. So, with that said, this will be a great matchup. Like you said, we don't know what we're going to get out of this game, but Anthony, I know you're a little bit on the fence. You don't know which way you're going to go. I know exactly where I'm going to go with this. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. With Lamar Jackson or without Lamar Jackson, it doesn't matter to me. The Los Angeles Rams wins this game. They go into Baltimore. They take down the Ravens. And my final score is 27-23. The Los Angeles Rams beats the Ravens, and they get themselves that much closer to the NFC West title. So, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is a must-win game for the Ravens because they basically need to win out and win the final two games and get a lot of help if they want to get to the playoffs. But it's also a big one for the Rams too, like you said, because they need a win and an Arizona Cardinals loss to win the NFC West. So, but yeah, I mean, the situation with Lamar Jackson, we don't know if he's going to play, but I'm with Fletch here. With or without him, I got the Rams winning this one. I mean, I just don't know how the defense is going to contain those receivers, especially Cooper Kupp. So I got the Rams winning this one as well. So let's move on, Florio.
We move on to our next game, which is another Fox game, and it will feature the Atlanta Falcons squaring off against my Buffalo Bills from Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York, exclusively on Fox with Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman. Buffalo opening up as a 14.5-point favorite in this one. Atlanta, however, leads the all-time series 7-5. Buffalo won the last meeting in 2017, a 23-17 win in Atlanta, snapping a 4-game losing streak to the Falcons. The last time they played, when Buffalo was technically the home team, they were in Toronto, 2013. Atlanta won 34-31 in overtime. Last meeting in Buffalo, 2005. Atlanta won that one, 24-16. Buffalo hasn't beaten Atlanta at home since 1995, a 23-17 win there. But MF, we know what the big story is. I mean, Atlanta, cum si cum sa, they're literally right around that Mendoza line. But for Buffalo, what could we say? I mean, we saw it against New England. I had my doubts, I really did. But boy, howdy, did they surprise me. They put forth a damn near 5-star performance in a humongous win in Foxborough, 33-21 over New England. And there's nothing left to say except Bills Mafia, all we got to do is win out, and we get the AFC East again. Ain't that right?
It is. There's no doubts about that. 2 wins away from the AFC East. And I think Buffalo realizes that you cannot let Atlanta get you or the Jets get you. Even though, this is an easy matchup, do not fall for the trap. You fell into the trap once, and that was against Jacksonville. Do not fall for the trap again, because this time it will not just cost you the AFC East, but it could actually hurt you guys prevalently as far as it rankings goes in wild card. But you can't win the East this week, but you can definitely get yourself into the playoffs. And there is 9 different scenarios for the Buffalo Bills. And ladies and gents, get your pen and papers out, and please be prepared, because there will be a test after this. First, scenario number 1. Buffalo wins and Baltimore either loses or ties. Buffalo gets into the playoffs. Scenario 2. Buffalo wins and a loss by the Chargers and the Raiders, and that gets you in. Third scenario is if for some reason Buffalo ties and ends up tying with Atlanta, then you need Miami to lose, the Chargers to lose, and Las Vegas to lose, and you guys get in. The fourth scenario, if there's a tie, again, now all these remaining ones are all ties, but if Buffalo ties with Atlanta, you would need Miami to lose, the Chargers to lose, Baltimore to lose, and Pittsburgh to lose, and you guys get in. Fifth scenario, another tie, Miami loss or tie, Raiders loss or tie, Ravens straight up loss, and Pittsburgh with a loss or a tie. Number 6, Buffalo tie, New England with a loss or tie, Chargers with a straight up loss, and the Raiders with a straight up loss. So if that happens, Buffalo gets in. The 7th scenario, and this is going to get a little exhausting, but Buffalo tie, New England with a loss or a tie, the Chargers with a loss or a tie, the Ravens straight up loss, and the Pittsburgh with a loss or a tie, and that gets Buffalo in. The 8th scenario, Buffalo ties also with a New England loss or tie, Raiders loss or tie, a Baltimore straight loss, and Pittsburgh with a loss or a tie, and that gets them in. And the final scenario, Buffalo, if they tie and you get straight losses by the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Raiders, and Pittsburgh ties or loses their game, Buffalo gets into the playoffs. I'd probably say the most realistic one, to me, honestly, the most realistic one that I can see is Buffalo winning and the Ravens losing, because, as you know, I did predict the Ravens to lose to the Rams. If that happens, Buffalo automatically is in the playoffs, and they would be one step away, one win away from the AFC East. They cannot win the division because of the fact that New England is tied with them, but because of the fact that Buffalo has the better divisional record, that is why Buffalo is in the position that they are in right now. 2 wins will get them over. Because if they lose and New England wins, then all of a sudden, whoom, 180. New England sitting in the catbird seat. Buffalo fighting for their playoff lives with 1 week to go. Ooh, that could be dangerous. I would not like our chances if you're a Buffalo fan. Even though if you're Buffalo, you're thinking, wait a minute, this is Miami, and we all know lately Miami has New England's number, hopefully, and it's in Miami. And Miami, I think is like has won like the last two years in a row against New England in Hard Rock. This is where you kind of hope that lightning strikes for a third time. Dolphins get them again 3 years in a row, and if you're a Bills fan, you're hoping Miami trips up New England for the 3rd year in a row. Remember, a couple of years ago, Miami tripped up Buffalo, dropped them to the wild card spot. We all remember what happened next. Tennessee rolls into Foxborough. Bye-bye Patriots, they're gone. Last year, Miami beat New England and knocked them out of playoff contention. They ended their season right then and there in Miami. Could it happen 3 years in a row? Could it be a hat trick for the Dolphins? We'll see. But if you're Buffalo, you just got to handle your business. Win the game on Sunday, which I do believe they will. I really don't have that much faith in Atlanta. But the one thing I got to say is for Buffalo fans, be careful, be careful, be careful. Do not fall for the trap, because that's what it could be. If a trap gets sprung and Buffalo gets caught in it again, this time around, I don't think they come back from it. You were lucky that you survived the mini disaster in Jacksonville. If you trip yourselves up this time around, ooh, that could be bad. Because like I said, then you open the door for New England to take the division again, and you're back to square one. So Buffalo wins, nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, Buffalo's going to handle its final 2 games in order to clinch the AFC East. But to the Buffalo Bills players and their fans, especially you, Anthony Florio, don't fall for the trap. You cannot. I mean, yes, Atlanta is a team that they're not a good team, but you can't take them lightly no matter what their record is. I mean, Buffalo found out the hard way. I mean, they took Jacksonville lightly, and look what happened. So do not take Buffalo lightly, or it could end up in disaster. I mean, I'm with Fletch here. I'm going with Buffalo to win this one as well. But Anthony, as I give it to you, Buffalo better not take the Atlanta Falcons lightly.
We're not.
Because if they do, exactly. Because if they do, it could cost you big time.
It absolutely could. Absolutely. But I do not even want to think about that right now. But yes.
I'm not trying to make you think about it, but I'm just laying it out here.
No, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad you guys brought it up. I'm glad you brought up the what ifs. Good. That fires us up even more. So yeah. So we're gonna take those what ifs and shove them up. You know what? somewhere where the sun don't shine. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, like Bullock said to JA17 and the crew, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, it looked bleak. It looked very bleak because we got our hearts ripped out by Brady again. And New England had a 2-game lead, and it wasn't looking good. It was looking dicey. But then New England got tripped up by Indy, and then Buffalo took care of business against Carolina. And then what happens here? New England, or I should say Buffalo steals one in New England and now puts itself in a position to control its own destiny, where all we have to do is win these final 2 games at home, starting this week against Atlanta, and then the Jets next week. We take care of that business both ways. Bada boom. We are the winners and still AFC East Division champions will be your Buffalo Bills. And for that to happen, all we got to do, in the immortal words of Bill Belichick, do your job. Or in my case, do your damn job. That's all there is to it. Keep your eye on the prize. Do not take that foot off the gas. And let's go and get after this. We're this close. Let's finish the damn thing. That's all I'm saying. But serious business at hand. The Bills got back on track against the Patriots, and Josh Allen will take advantage of an Atlanta pass defense that allows 244 passing yards a game. The Falcons have won 5 games on the road this season, but don't be fooled. None of those teams that they beat have a winning record. And this is a lopsided NFC South versus AFC East affair. This is the first of 2. We got another one coming up in a little bit. This one is in favor of the home team. The Bills lost to the Buccaneers, but they smashed the Saints and the Panthers. The Falcons were ripped by the Patriots and edged by the Dolphins. Buffalo is rolling with Josh Allen, and there's not much the Falcons' defense can stop when he's getting good support from the running and intermediate passing games. Matt Ryan steps into a brutal pass rush and coverage situation, one that can take away rookie tight end Kyle Pitts. I think Buffalo should and will win comfortably. I will say 34-17. The Buffalo Bills knock off the Atlanta Falcons and take one step closer to their second straight AFC East Divisional Championship. So not much more to say there. Let's get into our next game. Cross-flexed from Fox to CBS, and oh boy, did we get the short end of the stick here. One of the zonk games of the week, a game with no playoff implications whatsoever, except for draft positioning, if you will. You got the New York Giants squaring off against the Chicago Bears from Soldier Field in Chicago on CBS, and Spiro Ditas and Jay Feely will have the call for CBS. Chicago opening up as 6-point favorites. Chicago leads the all-time series 30. And first tie was in 1937, a 3-3 tie in New York, and in 1956, a 17-17 tie in New York. They met last year in Chicago. Chicago won 17-13. Chicago also won the year before at home against the Giants, 1914. The Giants have not won in Chicago since 2007, their Super Bowl year. That was a 21-16 final. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, no implications whatsoever. But New York Giants, Chicago Bears, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this is a game that has literally no playoff implications, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to win this one. I just think they're the better team here, so Florio, it's yours.
Yes. It's two of the first worst scoring offenses in the NFL, and it's tough to consider taking the Giants, considering they have scored 10 points or less in 4 of their last 6 games. Chicago is playing out the last days of Coach Matt Nagy, and the quarterback switching continues. The Bears likely win ugly at home. And all right, here we go. I got it. The Bears are showing some final life for the Matt Nagy era as they can consistently run the ball with David Montgomery and keep finding new diverse weapons in the passing game, no matter who's at quarterback. They also will want to rough up the Giants to show some pride defensively, which they can do after giving up some chunks to Saquon Barkley. The Mike Glennon potential revenge game is more about the Bears wanting to destroy their former brief starter. I got Chicago winning this one. It'll be an ugly game. I'm going to say 19-13. Chicago knocks off New York. So, MF, no implications whatsoever, but Giants, Bears, who you got anyway?
Yeah, no implications, but I like you said, I think Chicago is going to win this game. It's not the best matchup, and it's going to look a little ugly. I think we can say, but I will say this: there's really nothing more to say about it. So, yeah, there's nothing more to add. So, Floyo, next game.
And MF, are you ready? Because it's the Tony and Mikey special. Oh, here we go. The game of the week on our side of the ledger, the Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Cincinnati Bengals from Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, on CBS. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. They will have it. Kansas City opening up as a 5-point favorite. Cincinnati, however, leads the all-time series 15-14. Their last meeting was 2018 in Kansas City. Chiefs rolled to an easy win, 45-10, snapping a 4-game losing streak to the Cincinnati Bengals. And their last meeting in Cincinnati was 2015. Cincinnati won that one, 36-21. The Chiefs, man, it's been a very long time since the Kansas City Chiefs have won in Cincinnati. The last time they did so, it was at the old Riverfront Stadium. You got to go all the way back to 1984. That's the last time the Chiefs won in Cincinnati. 27-22 was the final that day. But since then, every home game in Cincinnati has gone the way of the Bengals. So with that being said, here we go with our game of the week. As soon as I get it on my list here. All right. Who knew this would be the best game of the week? The Bengals can clinch the AFC North with some help this week. MF will get into that in a moment. But they need a home win against the Chiefs. Kansas City has regained its Super Bowl form with 8 straight victories, and they covered in the last 6 games. The Bengals are 4-4 straight up at home this year. Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow will put on a show, but the Chiefs seal the deal with a late touchdown in a game with divisional playoff flavor. The Chiefs' defense has been getting the job done in the second half, but the Bengals' offense is too multiple and versatile to contain everywhere. Joe Mixon can run well, and Joe Burrow will keep liking his wide receiver matchups. Patrick Mahomes should be prepared for a shootout, and the Bengals do struggle with quick receivers and tight ends, such as Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. The AFC West champions will get an exciting battle from the AFC North leaders, but Kansas City just has a little more experience to pull through in a game like this than Cincinnati. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs to win what I believe will be a 5-star classic shootout with Shakespearean drama. 34-31. I got Kansas City knocking off Cincinnati in what should be a very, very fun and entertaining game. The current number 1 seed in the AFC versus the current number 3 seed in the AFC. Wow. It definitely has a playoff feel, like a divisional playoff flavor because of Kansas City being the one. So, MF, there's nothing more to say. What a Tony and Mikey special we have this week. The number 1 seed, Kansas City. The number 3 seed, Cincinnati, in Cincinnati. Welcome to the jungle. There's nothing more to say. As the Phil Simms to my Jim Nantz, nothing more to say except do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, this is it. This is, you don't get no bigger than this. And for Cincinnati, if they win, not only do they clinch a playoff spot, but they win the division. The AFC North goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. Whoever would have thought we be saying those words? Joe Burrow would literally have a monumental moment in his career. He would actually clinch the division title for Cincinnati, and it's been a long time since Cincinnati's been divisional champions. Normally, this would be the division that would be won by the Steelers or won by the Ravens. And Cincinnati has had a few success years. There's been some years with Boomer Esiason as the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals where they won that division in their heyday. So this would be a remarkable story and a remarkable moment for them if they win it. But you're going up against Kansas City, man, the hottest team, the team that nobody wants to face right now. Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, he had a big game last week. Travis Kelce has been up and down. He hasn't had some great moments, but that defense, that vaunted defense, the defense that we thought was a liability, they're not a liability anymore. They're even better than what they were last year. And if this is, and Eric Bieniemy is going to be dialing it up against Joe Burrow and trying to take those weapons away. Jamar Chase is a monster. Mixon is a great running back. So it's going to be a competitive game, but Kansas City is just too strong in so many areas. It's going to end up being like the game against the Chargers, where basically if they try to go shootout, they'll hang tough. But when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to money time, Kansas City will find a way to get the job done. They will knock off the Bengals and cement their place as the number one team in the AFC. They can't clinch it this week. They cannot clinch it this week, but 2 wins will give Kansas City the all-important first-round bye, and they will not have to play on Super Wild Card weekend. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, I got Kansas City as well. It's yours.
Yeah, I got Kansas City winning this one as well. I mean, this is going to be a really good game. I mean, it's going to be an offensive shootout. But, yeah, I mean, if Cincinnati could somehow pull it off, this would be a monumental moment for Joe Burrow. Not only to clinch the division for his team, but to beat Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that would be a huge win for him, but I just don't see it happening. I just think Kansas City, they're just too hot right now. And like you said, a team that nobody wants to face right now. So Kansas City wins. It's going to be an offensive shootout. So Florio, let's move on.
Actually, guys, I actually do stand corrected here. Kansas City can actually clinch the number 1 overall seed this weekend. If they win and Tennessee either loses or ties to the Miami Dolphins, Kansas City will actually get the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. All roads through the AFC playoffs will go through Arrowhead and Kansas City if that happens.
So a win and a Tennessee loss or tie, and they got it.
That's it.
Okay. So good to know. All right. Next up, you remember a little while ago I mentioned about the cross-flex game where a game got cross-flex from Fox to us, and we got the short end of the deal. Well, a game got cross-flex from us to Fox, and oh boy, Fox is reaping the benefits from this one. This game most certainly has playoff implications for both teams in this one. Would have been a perfect number 3 game on our side of the ledger if it had stayed there, but Fox ended up getting it, as it will be the Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. And on the call for that one for Fox, it will be Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Sarah Walsh. And Indianapolis opening up as a 7-point favorite. The Raiders, however, lead the all-time series 9-8. They met last year in Las Vegas, Week 14. Indianapolis won that one at Allegiant, 44-27 last year. They met in Indy the year before, 2019, and the Raiders won that game by a score of 31-24. The Colts have not beaten the Raiders at home since 2013. That was a 21-17 final. So there isn't much more to say. MF, boy, Fox. Oh, you sly little devils. You reap the benefits here. You gave us a crap game, and oh boy, you got a big time game, major implications, I'm sure. So Raiders and Colts, what's the playoff story, MF?
First off, Fox, in the immortal words of one of Anthony and Michael Bullock's favorite sayings, Dinkelberg.
Dinkelberg.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself on that one because that's exactly how I'm feeling right about now.
Oh yeah, we got Dinkelberg big time.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is Indy. Well, simple. Indy, if you win, you're in. So Indy gets the playoff spot with a big victory here. Or if for some reason, if they end up tying, you never know, they would need a straight up loss by Baltimore and either a loss or a tie by the New England Patriots or a straight up loss by Baltimore and a loss or a tie by the Miami Dolphins as they play Tennessee. So if New England loses or ties, or if Miami loses or ties, combined with a loss by Baltimore, and if Indy for some reason ties, then that gets Indy into the playoffs. Now, as far as the Las Vegas Raiders go, basically they're fighting for their playoff lives. A loss here ends their season. They will be eliminated. A tie would not be enough either. A tie will not help them in this situation either. So they have to win this game. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the thing is, there is no clinching scenario for them this week. It only just keeps them alive to stay in. But if Indy wins, not only does that knock them out, that helps a lot of teams because that's one less team that you're going to have to worry about going into the playoff hunt. So with that, that would end that. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But I got Indy. Now, I am a little concerned because there was a concern about Carson Wentz. He is in COVID protocol right now. However, there is rumors that he might be ready for Sunday. As you may know, they have actually shortened that window of the COVID to 5 days now. And I think the word got out, I think on Monday or Tuesday, we found out that he went into COVID protocol. He's got to stay 5 days. And on top of that, after that, he needs to produce a negative test before Sunday. So I think he has to have it done, I think 3 hours before kickoff. So he's got until I think 9 or 10 a.m. Sunday morning to produce a negative test, COVID test, in order to be eligible to play on Sunday. But the thing is this. You got one of the best running backs in the game in Jonathan Taylor. You got T.Y. Hilton, who's a really good receiver. You got a very good defense with the Colts right now. And I don't think, and even though Carson Wentz might be out, I think that'll be just enough to get them over the hump and win this game. Because they're going to want to win this. They're going to want to win this game. And on top of that, it also keeps them in the running for the AFC South as well, because they're right there with Tennessee. So they're going to want to win this game, and then they're going to be doing a lot of scoreboard watching, especially because Miami and Tennessee will be going down at the same time. So there's going to be some scoreboard watching in Lucas Oil on Sunday. So I got them winning the game. Anthony, Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you. I got Indy winning.
Yeah, I got Indy winning this one as well. I mean, basically, like you said, even if Carson Wentz doesn't play, you still got a man who I believe should be the MVP in Jonathan Taylor, because he's gonna be running it so well here. So yeah, so I got Indy winning this one. Florio, it is yours.
Yeah, the Colts found a way to win without 4 starters on the offensive line, and they have a chance to move up the pecking order in the AFC around MVP candidate Jonathan Taylor. The Raiders have found a way to win ugly the last 2 weeks with Derek Carr, and this feels like a spot where they could pull that off again with Colts starter Carson Wentz on the COVID-19 list. They could pull it off, but the Raiders cannot spot the run usually. They also struggle with containing the downfield passing game when they can't get to the quarterback. Those elements play right into the hands of Jonathan Taylor in their passing game behind their strong offensive line. Indianapolis's defense also stops the run and protects against stretching the field. That's also bad for Josh Jacobs and Derek Carr. I'm going to go with Indy to win this one as well. My final score, I'm going to go 27-20. Indianapolis defeats Las Vegas. So not much more to say there. I believe next up is our Zonk game of the week, I do believe. Yes, it is. Yep, it is. The Zonk game of the week on our side of the ledger, as it will be the Jacksonville Jaguars squaring off against the New England Patriots from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts on CBS. And on the call for that one will be Andrew Catalan, James Lofton, and Cherie Burris. And New England opening up as a 16-point favorite in this one. And with good reason, because New England leads the all-time series 7-1. But however, Jacksonville did win the last meeting, week 2, 2018, that AFC Championship rematch from months before. Jacksonville won that one in Jacksonville, 31-20. But the Jaguars have never, ever won in Foxborough, regular season or playoffs. They're 0-for. So there isn't much more to say except Michael Bullock. If there was ever a time for a get-right game for your Patriots, a back-to-basics game, if you will, this is it after 2 gut-wrenching losses to Indy and Buffalo.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the game that New England needs, and there are some ways this weekend for New England to clinch it, but I'll actually leave that to good old MF Michael Fletcher for when we get to him. But either way, I think this is going to be an easy win for the Patriots here. They should have no problem with Jacksonville. So nothing else to say. Florio, it is yours.
Oh yeah, I'll go as far as to call it the lock of the week, if you will. Here's another game with a remarkable spread. It's another battle of rookie quarterbacks between Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones. Look for the Patriots to take advantage of a Jacksonville team that has a -19 turnover ratio. That won't play well. And Jones gets back on track with at least a pair of touchdown passes. The Patriots are well coached by Bill Belichick. The Jaguars were poorly coached by Urban Meyer, and some of the residual effects of his philosophy are being felt to drag down Trevor Lawrence and the defense. Belichick will befuddle Lawrence and his team's strengths of the defense, and the running game are further boosted by Jacksonville's glaring weaknesses. Lawrence loses versus Zach Wilson and Mac Jones in consecutive weeks and wishes his situation could get a lot better in 2022. New England wins, lock of the week, 34-10, New England all over Jacksonville. Get right, back to basics for them after those 2 gut-wrenching losses to Indy and Buffalo. So not much more to say. MF, obviously, Jacksonville, right around number one draft pick territory. But for New England, I know there's implications for them.
Well, for New England, yeah, I mean, you can actually get into the playoffs. And here's how you can do it. Well, oh boy. All right, here we go again. Get the pen and papers. It's going to be a long scenario situation. But I'll go with the most notable ones. And I think these are the two that you just need to see. New England can get in with a win and a Miami Dolphin loss, or if New England wins and the Raiders lose, the Patriots goes back to the playoffs. It'll be just a 1 year miss out for the Patriots, and they'll go back to where they belong in the postseason, terrorizing everybody's. You're gonna leave a lot of sleepless nights for certain teams in the AFC. So nothing more to say. I do believe the Patriots will win. They'll get the job done. And yeah, nothing more to say. So, Anthony, back to you.
All right. And we got 3 early games left. And next up, we go with the Patriots' former franchise quarterback. That would be Tom Brady, as it will be his new team, your reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as they will be going on the road to square off against the New York Jets from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. And this game will be on Fox. And working that game for Fox will be Chris Myers, Daryl Moose Johnston, and Jennifer Hale. Tampa Bay opening up as a 13-point favorite. The Jets, however, lead the all-time series 10-2, believe it or not. Tampa won the last meeting in 2017, 15-10 in Tampa, snapping an 8-game losing streak to the Jets. The Jets, however, won the last meeting in New York, 2013, 18-17, ugly win, but the Jets won it. The Buccaneers have never won in Tampa, so that's really all there is to say on that. So I will start this one off, and this is another one of the locks of the week. Zach Wilson led the Jets to a victory in Week 16 against Jacksonville, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a different beast. Tom Brady will lean on Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski in the passing game, but Ronald Jones is in line for success against the Jets defense that allows 141.3 yards a game on the ground. The Bucs' momentum keeps building here. Tom Brady is having Tampa Bay adjust to being more of a running team to close out the schedule and reset for the playoffs. It makes sense, given the wide receiver injuries, to go in that direction. Brady has had fun many times before against the Jets playing in the AFC East, and he can complete a sweep of his former division foes with his new team. The Bucs defense remains on point with some key players missing, so the complementary rushing approach makes sense. The Jets have no chance to keep up, even with Zach Wilson playing loose. Final score, I'm going to go 33-14, Tampa Bay, all over the Jets. So not much more to say. MF, obviously, Jets draft positioning for them, obviously. But Tampa Bay, we already know they've won the NFC South. But MF, is there any implications for Tampa Bay? I mean, obviously seeding, I would imagine, because they've already won the NFC South. So
yeah, it's only for seeding right now. Unfortunately, there is no scenarios for Tampa Bay. I guess if you want to say it, if you win and then maybe the Cowboys lose or the Rams lose, it just gets you up there. It gets you closer to the number one overall. But as far as it goes to try to get the number one seed from Green Bay, unfortunately, as of right now, there is no possibility. If Green Bay handles their business, Green Bay will get the number one overall. They'll be the number one seed going into the playoff. But other than that, that's it. I don't think there's anything else at the moment that you can talk about. So, yeah. There's nothing else to add. So we'll see how it plays out. And I got Tampa winning. So, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got Tampa Bay winning this one. You know Brady's going to continue to dominate the Jets like he's done during his tenure with the Patriots. And I think a win, I mean, and if they get some help, I mean, it could move them closer to possibly getting the number 1 seed, but we'll wait and see on that. So nothing else to say. Florio, it's yours.
All right. Next 1 o'clock game, we got 2 left. And it's the number 2 game of the week on our side of the ledger, as it will feature the Miami Dolphins squaring off against the Tennessee Titans from Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee, over on CBS. And on the call for that one will be Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. And Tennessee opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. Miami, however, leads the all-time series 21-16. Dolphins have won the last 2 meetings against the Titans, but both of those meetings were in Miami, 2018 and 2017, respectively. The last meeting in Tennessee was in 2015, and the Miami Dolphins put a whooping on the Titans, 38-10 in that one. Titans last beat the Dolphins at home in 2009. That was a 27-24 overtime win. So I think it's only fitting that good old MF Michael Fletcher leads off on this one, because obviously right now Tennessee is the number 2 seed in the AFC, behind Kansas City. But nonetheless, MF, I mean, this coming from a Bills fan, and I know Bullock will concur as a Patriot fan, what your Dolphins have done over the last couple of months, from 1-7, what looked like it was going to be probably the worst season for you boys since the infamous 2007 year, which we never talk about anymore. But from 1-7 and what looked to be a dud season, all the way up now to 8-7 and damn near controlling your own destiny for a playoff spot, which you boys haven't been to since 2016. But Dolphins, Titans, there's implications for both teams, more so for Miami.
Yeah, more so for Miami because of the fact that basically they just got to win out. If New England should falter, if Indy should falter, that opens the door for Miami to possibly go up in seeding. But there's also a scenario, believe it or not, that if Miami loses, if New England wins, if the Chargers win and the Raiders win, Miami's out. Like, out. They're done. Their season would be over. If they lose to Tennessee and those 3 scenarios happen, the Dolphins can find themselves right out of the playoffs with 1 week to go. And that would be a devastating blow to the Dolphin fans to be literally at the verge of making the playoffs, to literally get the number 7 seed 1 week, to completely get taken out the next week. Oh, that'd be a cruel, a devastating, cruel of fate for the Dolphin fans, man. They would be furious with that one. But I will say this. This matchup is without a doubt the toughest one for Miami to date. Now, a lot of people have been saying, oh, Miami has been winning these games because they haven't had some good competition. They haven't had the best team out there. I think the best matchup or the best team that Miami has beaten up to this point was the Baltimore Ravens. Because remember, Lamar Jackson was out there and Miami handled them. Now there's that narrative of it's Ryan Tannehill versus Tua Tagovailoa. Ryan Tannehill has had a lot of success with Tennessee lately. The one thing that Tua has is that, he started out slow, but now he's become a consistent quarterback. He's been playing very good lately. Now you got Duke Johnson and Phillip Lindsay. They got a 2-headed monster in the running back where you're starting to see them establish more of a run attack with them. And the one thing that Miami has been hanging their hat on in this last month or so, or the last 2 months, has been their defense. 48 sacks in the 8 game in the winning streak that they've had has put them as a top 10 defense. On top of that, last week they had an interception, 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6 by Nick Needham early in the game against the Saints. And the one thing that Miami does so well is with that 40-plus sacks, the Titans has given up 45 sacks all year. Ryan Tannehill has been sacked 45 times. And now you got a front four with Agba, with a whole bunch of these guys, and with the Dolphins, man, if they start coming with that zero blitz, man, oh boy, it's gonna be a long afternoon for Tennessee. I will say this. On paper, Tennessee's the better team. I will openly admit that. But if there's one thing that you got to talk about when it comes to the Dolphins, is that this team is resilient. They are not afraid of the moment. They are not afraid of the big time. And they've been producing and delivering week after week after week after week. And a lot of people is like, is this the start of something amazing? Or when is that other shoe gonna drop? If I'm gonna be professional here, I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I just think Tennessee is just the better team, and I think they'll win the game. However, I will not be surprised if the Dolphins knocks the Titans off, because everybody that they've lined up against lately, everybody thought, there's going to be a moment where Miami's going to get tripped up, and they haven't. And I think this is going to be the moment that's going to test Miami. And this is going to tell us, are they a true threat in the AFC? If they get by the Titans, if they win this game, this is going to be a major statement to the AFC. This will put Buffalo on notice. This will put Kansas City on notice. This will put Indy on notice. This will put every team on the AFC on notice that the Dolphins are here and they are legit threat, and maybe, just maybe, could be the toughest out in the upcoming playoffs if Miami gets there. This might be one of those cases where you remember the year when the New York Giants had that big winning streak where they won like 8 road games in a row, and I think they won like 12 games overall just to get to the Super Bowl against the undefeated Patriots. This could be one of those type of moments if Miami wins that game. If the Dolphins beats the Titans, you know everybody's going to be looking over their shoulders and saying, God, I hope Miami is not the team we face in the first round of the playoffs on Wild Card Weekend. Because if that happens, oh boy, it could be a long afternoon for someone. I'll openly admit that. Now, believe it or not, gentlemen, there's actually an outside shot that the Dolphins can win the AFC East. Now, I know a lot of people are like, wait a minute, huh? Dolphins, AFC Eastern Division champions? Impossible. How can that happen? Well, here is how it can happen. Buffalo will have to lose the final 2 games. New England will have to go 1-1, and Miami needs to go 2-0. Because here's the thing. If Buffalo loses both those games, that would drop them down. That would knock them out of the picture. And believe it or not, Michael Bullock, if New England and Miami are tied going into that final game, depending on what Buffalo does against the Jets, because if the Jets beats Buffalo, that Dolphin versus Patriot game could decide the AFC East. Believe it or not. How crazy is that? But I do believe Tennessee will win this game, but I'm doing that as an analyst. Personally, as a fan, and personally as myself, I think the Dolphins will win. But if you're gonna literally put the proverbial hoo-hoo on my head, I'm gonna say Tennessee. But nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours. I mean, Mike Bullock is yours. Sorry.
I think your excitement about the Miami Dolphins possibly getting into the playoffs got the best of you.
It got me. I'll admit it. You can't blame me though, man. From where we were to where we are, hell yeah.
I can't blame you, but sometimes maybe your excitement can be a little too high, and that's why you probably forgot to toss it to me. But you know what? I'll let it slide there. So, yeah, this run by Miami's just been unreal. I mean, could they make the playoffs? It's a possibility, but I just think Tennessee is the better team here, and I think this is where the run stops for them, and their playoff hopes get dashed. Now, for Fletch's sake, I mean, I really hope that comes true, but I just don't see it happening. I think Tennessee's going to be the final death blow, and I think you just have to say that 1-7 start was probably would be too deep of a hole for them to get themselves out of. But the thing is, we've seen some crazy things happen before. Could this happen? It's a possibility, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Tennessee's going to win this one. Florio, it is yours.
Yeah, the Dolphins are one of the hottest teams in the AFC, but they are up against a Titans team that is 6-2 at home. This is Ryan Tannehill's first start against his former team. Former Bill Belichick assistants Mike Vrabel and Brian Flores engage in a tight one that might come down to a last-second field goal. The Dolphins will be coming off a tough short week, having played the physical and well-coached Saints on the road this past Monday night. Nashville isn't far from New Orleans, but it's still a daunting turnaround, given the Titans played on Thursday night in Week 16 against San Francisco and will be much better rested. That said, Brian Flores' defense can keep the game close, and the offense has enough of a receiving punch to stay in the game. The Titans win again, with A.J. Brown being the key difference maker. I'm going to go 20-17. Tennessee barely gets by Miami, and that's all there is to say. But if Miami were to somehow steal this one, we would not at all be surprised. We wouldn't. So very, very tough out, to say the very least, for Miami here. What they've done from 1-7 to 8-7, absolutely remarkable. So, and if they could somehow pull this thing out and get in one way or another, it would without a doubt be the most remarkable in-season turnaround I've ever seen. And there have been some, but that would be the biggest. But anyways, let's get to our final early game, and it will be the Philadelphia Eagles squaring off against the Washington football team from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. This game will be over on Fox. We don't know who will take Adam Amin's place because Adam Amin works with Mark Schlereth and Shannon Spake. We'll find out soon enough, but nonetheless, Philadelphia opening up as a 3-point favorite, and these two teams just met very recently. It was in Week 15, a game that was supposed to be on a Sunday but was pushed back to Tuesday because of COVID. One of the 3 games in Week 15 that got rescheduled because of COVID, and it was pushed to a Tuesday night in Philadelphia, and the Eagles won that game by a score of 27-17, and they cut into Washington's all-time series lead. It's now 87-80 with 5 ties, and Philly won at home here. So last meeting in Washington last year, Washington won 27-17. Philly's last win in Washington was 2019, 37-27. So there isn't much more to say on this. Michael Bullock, started with you. Philly and Washington. Philly, I believe, is in. I think Philly is one of the 7, but Washington, after that magical divisional run last year, I think it's too little, too late for them.
Oh, they're already officially eliminated from postseason.
That's what I thought. All right, but Philly's right in the mix.
Yep.
We'll let MF sort that out when we get to him. But Philly and Washington, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I got Philly winning this one. I mean, they're just playing well right now, and yeah, I think they basically, well, like I said, we'll get to Fletch when it comes to the playoff clinching scenarios for Philadelphia, if they do have any this week. But I got the Eagles winning. Florio, it is yours.
Yes, indeed. And all right. Washington is coming off its worst loss of the season, and the Eagles won the last meeting between the teams 27-17 on December 21st. Washington could rise up in a spoiler role at home, but that's tough to envision after watching the Sunday Night Football disaster. Philadelphia has rolled up 184.3 rushing yards a game in its last 3 wins. The Eagles may have another shakeup in the backfield without Miles Sanders, but they will stick to a run-heavy game plan that just worked against Washington less than 2 weeks ago. But last week, they also gained more confidence in Jalen Hurts throwing downfield when he and his running mates couldn't produce at will against the Giants. The Eagles open it up again to win, while Washington digs deep to show some needed fight for their coach, Ron Rivera. But I'm going with Philadelphia to win this one. My final score, 28-22, Philadelphia over Washington. So, MF, obviously, like Bullock said, Washington is out. But if we're going to see Fly Eagles fly in the postseason, I know there's some implications for them.
Yeah, for Philadelphia, it's not as easy as it sounds, but there are some scenarios for the Eagles, and boy, it's let's just say it's a doozy. It definitely has a lot to desire here. So for Philadelphia to get into the playoffs, well, basically it's a combination. So you would need a win from the Eagles, a Minnesota loss or tie, or either New Orleans loses, and here's something that you're not gonna believe, or if they get a win by the San Francisco 49ers. That's right. If a team actually wins a game, it actually helps the Eagles. So if they win, Minnesota loses or tie, and the 49ers wins their game, Philadelphia is going to the playoffs. And I think they will. I got the Eagles winning. And gentlemen, back to you.
And we move on now to the late games. We have 5 of them, 2 4:05 games on CBS and 3 4:25 games on Fox. But we'll get to the 4:05 games first. Both have implications. And here we go. First up, the first 4:05 game. It's our number 3 game of the week by a smidge, according to the records. It will be the Denver Broncos squaring off against the Los Angeles Chargers from the home of Super Bowl 56, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. This game will be over on CBS. Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn will be at SoFi for that one. The Chargers opening up as 6.5-point favorites. They met earlier this season in Denver, and Denver won that game by a score of 28-13. So Denver adds to their series lead against the Chargers. It's now 69-53 with a tie. Broncos winning in Denver. However, the Chargers won the last meeting in LA last year. 1916 was the final there. Broncos' last win in LA was 2019. That was a 20-13 final. So I believe I start this one off. So all right. The Broncos are fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive against a division rival. The Chargers are coming off an inexplicable loss to the Houston Texans. LA is just 4-4 at home this season, but I'm trusting Justin Herbert to get it done against Denver's top 5 pass defense, even though the Broncos won the first meeting 28-13 in Denver. The Chargers blew a big opportunity against the Texans and are now clinging to their playoff lives. They turned in a sloppy game in Denver not long ago, so it's on Justin Herbert to settle down, eliminate mistakes, and take the short to intermediate gains when the big plays aren't there. Los Angeles sticks with the run a little more to ease the burden on its own run defense, and Herbert delivers backloaded with all of his key weapons. I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers to win this one. My final score, 26-20. Chargers get back on track after their own embarrassing loss to the Houston Texans. Absolutely inexcusable. So there isn't much more to say. MF, our number 3 game of the week, the Broncos and the Chargers. I know there's implications for both teams.
Well, basically, if you win, you stay alive, but if you lose, you're out. And that is a harsh reality. If Denver loses, they are out of playoff contention. If the Chargers lose, they are out. And imagine that. Justin Herbert and everything that they talked about and the expectations that they had to flame out in week 17 of the NFL season, and just the mere fact that hit the counterpart, and I guess you could say rival Tua Tagovailoa, is now maybe 2 wins away from getting into the postseason. Oh my God, the narrative is going to be absolutely crazy, to say the very least. So, no, without a doubt, this has been an amazing run. I do believe the Chargers will stay alive, and they'll keep their hopes to get into the playoffs alive. But for Denver, this will be the end of the line for them. With this loss, they will be eliminated from playoff contention. There's really nothing more to add. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
I mean, yeah, I basically, yeah, I got the Chargers winning this one. I see them bouncing back in a good way. I mean, after that embarrassing loss to the Houston Texans, and I expect them to play better. I mean, I expect them to eliminate all the sloppiness that they had. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
All right, and we move on to the other 405 game on CBS. It's our number 5. It's our number 5 game of the week, as it will feature the Houston Texans squaring off against the San Francisco 49ers from Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. The legendary Greg Gumbel, Anna Marcelletta, and AJ Ross will have the call. San Francisco opening up as a 12.5-point favorite. San Francisco leads the all-time series 3-1. 49ers have won the last 2 meetings in this series, including the last meeting in San Francisco in 2013. 49ers won going away 34-3. Houston has only beaten the Niners once. That was in 2009 in Houston. 24-21 the final there. So not much more to say here. MF, started with you. Houston, with their signature win of the year, beating the Chargers in grand style last week, but they're long out of it. However, San Francisco has major implications on their end.
Yeah, they do have major implications with a win and a New Orleans loss, and they are through. The San Francisco 49ers will get into the playoffs. However, if for some reason Houston ends up tying San Francisco can still get in with a loss or a tie by Minnesota, a straight up loss by New Orleans, and a loss or a tie by the Atlanta Falcons. And that will get the Niners into the postseason. But I do believe San Fran should get the job done. That will help them. Then it's basically scoreboard watching to see what New Orleans does, because that will determine if the Niners go through and they get into the playoff hunt, because that's the thing. The NFC playoffs could end this weekend with if Philadelphia handles their business and if San Francisco handles their business. That would lock the NFC playoff picture. And then from there, we'll wait and see how it plays out. But the Niners I believe, will get the job done. And depending on what happens with the New Orleans game, and what we might get into them in a little bit, that'll determine if they're going to the playoffs or not. But nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got the San Francisco 49ers winning this one. I expect them to handle their business with the Houston Texans. So, Florio, it's yours.
The Texans showed fight in a win against the LA Chargers last week, and the 49ers are lamenting a close loss to the Titans last Thursday night. San Francisco had extra time to heal, however, and Eli Mitchell could return from a knee injury this week. The Niners keep it simple on the ground at home, but the spread is too high. Davis Mills has just one interception in his last 3 starts. The Texans shocked the Chargers, but they won't catch the 49ers in the same way on a long road trip. Davis Mills returns close to Stanford to throw passes and can have some success versus San Francisco's secondary, but Houston cannot stop the 49ers running game, and the combination of Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk all can cause matchup nightmares. Easy win for the San Francisco 49ers. 30-14, San Francisco all over Houston. So with that, let's move on to the 425 games. We got 3 of them on Fox. And we start with America's Game of the Week. The Arizona Cardinals squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, Jerry World. On Fox, you know who's working this. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi. Dallas opening up as 6-point favorites. Dallas leads the all-time series 56-32 with a tie. The one tie was in 1966 in St. Louis when they were the St. Louis Cardinals, 10-10. They met in Dallas last year, and Arizona went into Dallas and absolutely they kicked down the door and made themselves at home. 38-10, easy win for Arizona in Dallas last year. The Cowboys have not beaten the Cardinals at home since 2005 when they were at the old Texas Stadium. That was a 34-13 beatdown. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, America's Game of the Week. Major implications for both teams, even though Dallas has already won the NFC East. Dallas in the running for the number 1 seed, but Arizona still has some work to do as they now trail the LA Rams in the NFC West, a division they dominated for much of the year before they started their free fall.
Yeah, I mean, what is going on with Arizona? I mean, looked like they were playing so well at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, they've been free falling as of late, and what looked like the NFC West was going to be theirs, and now it could basically slip out of their hands. So, and Dallas coming off of a blowout win over the Washington football team, and they clinched the NFC East. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be an offensive shootout. I got a feeling about this one, but I just like Dallas here. I mean, until I see something from Arizona that makes me believe they can pull this one out, I just don't see it happening. I got Dallas winning this one, so Florio, it is yours.
Yeah. The Cowboys opened eyes with 56 points on Sunday Night Football, and Dak Prescott has this team looking like a legit Super Bowl contender. Kyler Murray is trying to get the Cardinals back on track, especially in the passing game. Remember, Arizona won 38-10 at Dallas last season, but Prescott was not on the field for that one. Trying to find it here. Hold on. The Cowboys are feeling it everywhere again with Dak Prescott and their passing offense going back to exploding and their defense dominating in every which way. The Cardinals have lost their big play juice on both sides of the ball, from Kyler Murray to their once swarming defense. Dallas can handle this limited version of Arizona's attack, and this is also a chance to get its running game rolling again with Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. My final score, 27-20. Yep, and we've lost Bullock for the night. So, yes, Happy New Year to you too, Bullock. So, we'll address that at the end. But I got the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. My final score, 27-20. Dallas knocks off Arizona in America's Game of the Week on Fox. So not much more to say. MF, America's Game of the Week on Fox, the Game of the Week on the NFC side of the ledger. Mass implications for both teams. Definitely more so for Arizona than Dallas, because Dallas already won the NFC East. But Dallas right in that running for the number one seed in the NFC, whereas Arizona, looked like the team to beat, but I don't know. So MF, Arizona and Dallas, what are the implications?
Sorry about that. Well, the implications as it relates to, we're talking about which teams are we talking about, Anthony?
Arizona and Dallas.
Well, for Arizona and Dallas, okay, Arizona has already clinched the playoff berth. So there's nothing really for them. As far as Dallas goes, they still have a shot at the number one overall seed in the NFC. Now, they would need Green Bay to lose to Minnesota. And if they do, that does open the door for Dallas. Dallas can actually get the number one with 1 week to go. All they would need to do is win out, and they would need Green Bay to lose one game along the way. If that happens, that gets them the ticket, and more importantly, it secures them the number one, and all roads through the NFC playoffs goes through Jerry World. So, can it happen? We'll have to wait and see. But I will say this: if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're probably feeling really good right about now. Seeing the way that you've been playing, you won the NFC East, won it in convincing fashion, one of those dominating performances I've seen all season long. And it definitely opened my eyes, and I kind of started to feel like, Dallas is back. All their horses are in a row, and all of a sudden, watch out for the Cowboys. They could be playing for the division. Not only could they be playing for the division title, but if they get the number one seed, all roads goes through Jerry World. I don't know. Could this be the year? Could we be talking about the Dallas Cowboys making the Super Bowl for the first time since 1995? I mean, that would actually no, 1996 was when Dallas won the Super Bowl 30 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is it possible? We'll have to wait and see. I will say this though, they make it to the Super Bowl. Wait, Cowboys. That's all I'm gonna say. Stephen A. Smith might have a heart attack if Dallas wins it all, but I'll say that. There's really nothing more to say. So yeah. All right. So yeah, go right ahead. Anthony,
okay. So all right, and with that, MF will lead off on the next matchup as Bullock has left us for the night. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers squaring off against the New Orleans Saints from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. On Fox, Brandon Gaudin and Matt Millen from the Big Ten Network are going to be on the call for that one. And the New Orleans Saints opening up as 6.5-point favorites. These two teams met in week number 2 in Charlotte. Charlotte won big. Carolina won big, 26-7. So they cut into New Orleans' series lead. It's now 27-26 in favor of New Orleans, with the Panthers win that snapped a 4-game losing streak to the Saints when they won in Charlotte. First time they did that since 2016. So big moment for them. But the Saints have won the last 2 meetings in the Superdome, including a 27-24 win last year. Carolina's last win in the Dome was in 2018, 33-14 the final there. So with that, MF, Carolina's out, but is New Orleans still in the running, or are they out?
Carolina is definitely not going to be there. As far as the other situation, I don't see any scenario. So no, I think they might be out. San Fran has a shot. Philly has a shot. The Rams, Green Bay. We'll get into them in a little bit because they got major implications. There's implications for Tennessee, New England, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and that's it. No, Anthony, I don't see anything else as it pertains to any implications. So I would state that unfortunately, no, I think that would be the end. That would be a wrap, as we would normally say when it comes to that. So I do know Carolina is definitely out, and as they're taking on New Orleans, unfortunately, they're on life support. That loss to the Miami Dolphins did not do them any favors. As a matter of fact, they actually hurt them. They would literally need to pull the inside straight. They would need a lot of teams to lose just to keep their hopes alive. But even that might not be enough to get them, and it's over. It could be over and done with for them. So I do believe that the Saints will win, just barely. And Anthony, I give it to you.
Impossible to predict the quarterback situation on either side at this point. It's two teams looking to press the reset button. The Panthers are 3-4 on the road, and perhaps Cam Newton turns back the clock to beat an old division rival on the road. But the Panthers have gone into the tank at the end of Coach Matt Rule's second season. They have wilted against the run, which is bad against Alvin Kamara. They also can't stop much in the intermediate passing game. The Saints are still playing as hard as they usually do for Sean Payton. The home team is just put together better everywhere, and will have greater motivation and we'll have some greater motivation. Obviously, no playoff chances, but whatsoever. But nonetheless, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints. My final score: 20-16. New Orleans knocks off Carolina, and we move on to the Zonk game of the week for Fox, if you will. A game with no implications whatsoever. The Detroit Lions squaring off against the Seattle Seahawks from Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington. Gus Johnson with Aqib Talib and Megan O'Leary. They will be on the call. Seattle opening up as a 7-point favorite. Seattle leads the all-time series 9-5. Their last meeting was 2018 in Detroit. Seattle won that one 28-14. Last meeting in Seattle was 2015. Seattle won 13-10. The Lions have not won in Seattle since 1999, when I believe that was the Seahawks' final season in the old Kingdome. Detroit stole one at the old Kingdome in 99, 28-20. That's the last time they won in Seattle. So I believe I start off on this one. So let's see. Okay. The Seahawks will be home against the Lions, which lost another close one in Week 16, but have not quit under their first-year coach, Dan Campbell. The Seahawks are 30th in total offense, 305.2 yards a game, and the Lions are 29th in scoring offense, 17.3 points a game. This game will not be pretty at all. The Lions already bit the Cardinals from the NFC West, and the Seahawks already experienced a rough home upset against another lesser NFC North team in the Chicago Bears. Seattle has found something with Rashad Penny in the running game, and Detroit can't slow that down much. Russell Wilson also will be made comfortable to keep throwing well downfield. Whoever's quarterback for the Lions, the passing game flashes won't be quite enough again. I'm going with Seattle to win this one. 20-17. Seattle gets by Detroit. MF, Detroit and Seattle.
I got Seattle. I don't think there's really much to talk about here. So, next game.
And these final two games of the week, both with playoff implications. This next game more so for one team than the other. unless MF tells me otherwise. As it will it'll be Sunday Night Football on NBC, 8:20 kickoff as always, and it'll feature the Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the Green Bay Packers from the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And on the call for that one, Mike Tirico sitting in for Al Michaels, as Mike Tirico will be working with Chris Collinsworth, and Catherine Tappan will be on the sidelines in place of Michelle Tafoya. And Green Bay opening up as a 7-point favorite. However, they met earlier this year, November 21st in Minnesota, and the Vikings stole one from the Packers, 34-31. So Minnesota cut into Green Bay's division all-time series lead. It's 62-55 with 3 ties in favor of Green Bay, with Minnesota winning at home earlier this season. However, the Vikings stole one at Lambeau last year, 28-22. Packers' last home win against the Vikings, 2019. That was a 21-16 final. So there isn't much more to say here. So MF, we already know. For the Green Bay Packers, they've already won the NFC North. Right now, they literally control their own destiny for the number 1 seed in the NFC. I know a win will put them that much closer to it. But are there any implications for Minnesota?
Unfortunately, no. There are no implications for Minnesota. They're literally hanging by a thread right now. A loss basically is the death nail for them. It would virtually end their season. If they win, if they beat Green Bay, it keeps them alive, but just barely keeps them alive. They would go to the final week with a shot to go, maybe with an opportunity, but they would need they would need a lot of help to get to the playoffs. But a win would help them, but a loss and they're done. They're out. And as for Green Bay, if Green Bay wins, there's even a scenario that if Green Bay wins and Dallas loses on Sunday, that's it. It's over. They clinch the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. All roads goes through the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. So I do believe it will be that. Green Bay wins. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. So I look it up here. All right. The Vikings are the last team to beat Green Bay at Lambeau Field in the regular season. And if Dalvin Cook returns, that will be the recipe for success on the road. The Packers have allowed 28.8 points a game in their last 5 games, and that defense has lived on the edge. Aaron Rodgers makes up the difference with a late touchdown pass to Devontae Adams in a Sunday Night Football thriller. The Vikings cracked against the Rams and didn't even make it a close game in the end. Despite 3 interceptions in their favor, Minnesota's offense is predictably sound based on the running game, but also locked with a dominant number 1 receiver in Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins passing will keep his team in it for a while, but the big problem for Minnesota is defense, the defense that cannot stop the run or cover much of anything outside downfield. Aaron Rodgers makes sure another playoff desperate team doesn't have a chance to steal one at Lambeau. I'm going with the Green Bay Packers to win this game. My final score, 31-24. Green Bay knocks off Minnesota. And nothing more to say except now we move on to the final game of the week, which is Monday Night Football, the season finale of Monday Night Football on ESPN. And we got a big one in the AFC. Implications for both teams. MF will address that in a moment, as it will feature. It'll be at 8:15 as always on Monday night on ESPN, streaming on ESPN+. The Cleveland Browns squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers from Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. It's our number 4 game of the week on our side of the ledger. And for ESPN, we got Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, and Laura Rutledge. And good news for all you fans of the Manning brothers will be back. You will get Peyton and Eli on ESPN2 in conjunction with this game on Monday night. So you'll see them. Now, it's technically the last true Monday Night Football game because they're doing something special in Week 18. and we'll address that next week. But anyways, the Cleveland Browns opening up as 3.5-point favorites. They met earlier this season back on Halloween on October 31 in Cleveland, and the Pittsburgh Steelers won that game. I believe the score of that was 15-10. So Pittsburgh now adds to their series lead over the Browns. They now lead the all-time series 76-60 with a tie, winning in Cleveland earlier this season. The Steelers won in Pittsburgh 38-7 in the regular season last year. But the Browns have not won a regular season game in Pittsburgh since a Sunday Night Football win back in 2003, a 33-13 win. But the last time the Browns technically won in Pittsburgh was January of this year in the AFC wildcard game. Cleveland won that wild and crazy wildcard game, 48-37 that MF and I had. So major implications here. The Browns ended the Steelers season in the AFC wildcard round last year. Can they do it again on the Monday Night Football spotlight? This is a gotta-have-it game for both Baker Mayfield and Ben Roethlisberger. But the Browns stick to Nick Chubb this time against a porous Steelers run defense, which would set up a huge game with the Cincinnati Bengals next week. The Steelers and Browns still have a shot at winning the AFC North, especially with the two teams in front of them, the Bengals and the Ravens, having their hands full in home games against NFC powerhouses. This will mark the likely last home game for Ben Roethlisberger in prime time, facing the team against which he has a 25-2-1 career record. Pittsburgh is still capable of grinding out games versus other teams with limited offenses. That was the case in the first meeting in Cleveland, a 15-10 win with plenty of emotions. The Steelers overcome their night underdog status to win straight up. Or do they? I mean, because this is a very tough one to call. This one can go literally either way. But, so tough. But I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one. I'm going to say 20-17. But if Cleveland steals it, I would not at all be surprised. I really would not. So that's all there is to say. 2017. I'm going to take a chance on Pittsburgh here, even though I am not confident. I wouldn't be confident either way because this was the toughest game to call. So 2017, I'm going Pittsburgh. MF, hit us with the scenarios for both teams because I know there's plenty of them.
Well, no, Anthony. Actually, this is the biggest scenario you need to know. This is an elimination game. Whoever loses this game is out of the playoff hunt. The winner gets to move on, and they'll hope and pray that they get through. But this is it. There's nothing more than anything else. You win the game, you stay alive. You lose the game, you literally are going home. So nothing more to add, nothing more to say. I'm with you on this one. I'm not convinced. I'm not high about it, but I'll say Pittsburgh wins. Nothing more to add. And Anthony, it is yours.
All right. And that will put the bow on this week 17 edition of Strictly Sports NFL Thursday, our final broadcast of 2021, because we're going to be taking tomorrow and the weekend off in observance of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, respectively. We will next be with you Monday night as we kick off the new year. Our first broadcast of 2022 will be a special edition of Ridiculously Raw, where we will review the WWE Day 1 pay-per-view and the first Monday Night Raw of 2022. Wednesday, our first Wednesday Night Mayhem of 2022, and it's literally going to be mayhem. Both shows are loaded. NXT 2.0, New Year's Evil, headlined by Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. And on top of that, the premiere of AEW Dynamite on TBS, headlined by Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. both cards are stacked, and we're excited about that. Next Thursday night, Week 18 of Strictly Sports NFL Thursday, and how about it? I mean, you know what Week 18 is. The divisional week, and every game will be divisional games. The notable ones, that's the standout games that we'll get into all of it, of course. But the standout games, obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. I only say the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills because that could be an opportunity for the Buffalo Bills. If they beat Atlanta, the Buffalo Bills would literally control their own destiny, and all they would have to do is beat the Jets, and then they would win the AFC East for the second year in a row. Cincinnati Bengals against the Cleveland Browns. Tennessee Titans against the Houston Texans. Indianapolis Colts as they stay in playoff position against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tennessee against Houston. The New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins, projected to be the top game, if not anything else. The Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, that could be a situation there. Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Carolina Panthers. Arizona Cardinals hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams. That could be an implication game. And also, maybe not, I don't know, the Los Angeles Chargers and the Las Vegas Raiders. So we'll get into that next week. And time permitting, we will also preview the College Football Playoff National Championship game. The two winners from the games tomorrow will battle it out for the national championship on Monday night, January the 10th at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And we'll preview that game on top of that next week. And then for the first time in a while, it will be the return of the Cerebral Smack Talk next Friday night. The first Friday Night SmackDown of 2022, as well as the first AEW Rampage of 2022. And then we'll take it from there. So that's it. So until Monday night / next year for the first Ridiculously Raw of the year, Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher. And in spirit, Michael Bullock, Dede Woodson, and the man who put this whole thing together 10 years ago. Wow. Yankee Messiah 401, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Happy New Year. Don't do anything stupid. And be safe out there. Be careful out there. And we thank you all so very much for your continued support of our shows and for tuning in all year long. We love what we do. You are the best fans in the world, and we cannot wait to do this all again in 2022. So for everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.